Hi, I'm Rashonda. I'm the creator of artbyrow.com, where you can find over 200 art and drawing tutorials and everything art related. Thank you for joining me today, and we're going to head on over to the art studio and do some drawings. I hope you'll grab a pencil and some paper and draw along with us today. I know you'll have fun. Let's head on over to the studio. Hi, welcome to the Art by Rose studio. Today we are going to draw some monsters, and we're going to use the letter A as our starting point. And this is a really fun creativity exercise to do. So this started from a book by Steve Harpster called Drawing Monsters with Letters. And I used to do these in the classroom with my students. So when you follow his step-by-step, this is the monster that you come up with. But what I want to show you today is how you can take a fairly simple drawing and you can change it little by little each time you do it and come up with a completely different drawing. So this was the original from the step-by-step, and you can do this with any drawing instructions. And what I think is really fun is if you take something that's very simple, that maybe is, geared more towards a younger child, and see what you can do with it. See how far you can take it. So what I did was I started with his step-by-step, and this is the monster that you get with his step-by-step. I changed the colors a little bit, but this is basically what you get. So then I did more of them. This was same thing. I followed his process, started with the letter A, but I did the ears different. I did the shape of the face different. I added a neck and a collar. I did the eyebrows a little bit different. I added the top of the head, where this one, there is no top to the head. There's no sides over here. So I changed it up, but I followed this same process. And then here's another one. Same thing. I started with the letter A. I followed his process, but I did the nose different. I did the lips and the mouth different. I added some shoulders. I changed up the way I did the eyes. Here's another one. Same thing. So every one of these that I'm showing you, I followed his same process. I just didn't draw the elements exactly the same. And what I mean by the elements are the eyebrows, the top of the head, the shape of the head, the nose, the lips, the teeth. And I just went one by one and seen how much I could change and how different I could make it. So if you look at these two side by side, you really can't tell that they were following the same drawing instructions. So the reason I'm showing you this is that to illustrate that you can take any drawing instruction and then just keep playing around with it in making something that's completely your own. All of these followed the same exact process. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take you step by step on how to draw one of these monsters. And I will gather up my supplies and I will be right back with you with the drawing instruction. All right, so I have my supplies and I am working on an artist trading card, and I'm using a toned cardstock. And we're going to go ahead and follow the process using the letter A, but we're going to switch it up a little bit and try something a little bit different, so the end result is not going to be very similar to the ones that are on the drawing instruction, which is kind of the point. We want to come up with our own designs, our own drawings. So the first thing I did for this particular style monster is that instead of having a tall, skinny letter A, I made it short and wider. So that in itself is going to give me a different look to my monster drawing. But we're going to go ahead and follow the same process, but we're going to end up with something completely different. So the mouth goes at the bottom of the A. And I'm going to put the little lines off to the side, and we're just going to sketch everything in. I'm going to draw some teeth. Draw the biggest teeth first. And there are so many ways that you can draw the teeth. You can make them pointed, not pointed. You can make them big. You can make them small. You could have them going up. You could have them going down. There's just a ton of ways that you can draw each part of your monster to make it look completely different. So I'm going to draw the nose. So here's the nostrils. And again, I could draw something coming down from the nose if I wanted to. And this is what I'm trying to show you with this video, is that there are just so many options to how you draw these that you could just make so many of them, and every one could be completely different. So I could draw this different from one that maybe I made that was similar, and just change up a few things and make it a completely different drawing with a completely different look to it. So for this guy, I'm going to make the eyes round. And even with the eyes being round, there's a lot of different ways that you could draw the eyes. Just from the shape being different is one thing, but you could draw them big, you could draw them small, you could draw the iris and the pupils different sizes. You could make them different from each other. We're going to add a couple rectangles for the eyebrows. So we have our basic elements to his face. The eyes, the nose, the mouth. We have the eyebrows. So again, with the shape of the face, there's different ways you could draw the shape of the face. And I'm going to put some fur in here. And the fur is another thing you could change. You could do the fur in different types of styles. You could do the shape of the face different. Like I'm going to bring the face in and have it come back out again. You could do that differently so it's not the same shape. And again, I'm going to add some little indications of the fur. And you could do this with any type of drawing instructions. Like I said, I think it's really fun to take some drawing instructions that are really for younger kids and play around with it and keep pushing it and see how far can you take it. Can you make it look completely different and nothing like a drawing that would be for little kids? I mean, you could take a very simplistic drawing instruction and completely change it and make it totally different and unique from the original. So I'm going to bring this one back out real quick. Followed the same exact process, but they don't look anything like each other. And one of the things with following a step-by-step instruction is that if you follow it to the T, then you're just going to have the same exact drawing that somebody else drew, which is okay, but I mean, that's kind of the point of the drawing instructions, right? Is to follow along and you end up with the same drawing that they're showing you. But what's more fun is to follow the basic concept, but to come up with something completely original and completely your own based off of their concept and their instructions. And like I said earlier, it's a really good exercise in creativity because it's pushing you out of your comfort zone a little bit and to think differently and to come up with different solutions to how you're going to draw each piece of the drawing. So I really like it as something to push the creativity muscles a little bit. And I also like, because you could do the step-by-step and follow the instructions as they're provided for you, and that's fine, but then what do you do next? So the next thing would normally be you follow a step-by-step, you finish the drawing, you were successful, it looks like what it was supposed to look like, and then what? Then your option really is just to go find something else to draw, and you're constantly looking for different things to draw. And that's one of the biggest struggles that people tell me they have, is they can't come up with any ideas for something to draw. But yeah, if you're looking for drawing instructions and you draw something and then you're done with it and now you're looking for something completely different, then you're always going to be looking for something to draw. Where if you take one concept and keep working with it over and over again, then you know what you're going to draw, because you're just going to keep drawing the same thing but trying to make it look different each time. So then instead of trying to think about what you're going to draw, the only thing you need to look at is how you're going to draw it. So how are you going to draw the eyes? What shape are you going to draw the eyes? How are you going to draw the teeth? How are you going to draw the nose? And that's much easier to decide how to draw the eyebrows or how to draw the eyes, is a much easier decision than the subject matter that you're drawing and trying to figure that out, because that takes a lot more effort than coming up with a way to draw the eyes or the nose or the mouth. And I'm showing you one specific set of drawing instructions that I followed is my starting point, but you could do this with anything. And I think it's a really good challenge to find something that's really for little kids, that's really, really basic and simple to do, and looking at that and then trying to come up with some ideas for how you could do it, what you could do different, pushing it, being creative, coming up with your own ideas. Because, I mean, in all honesty, what benefit do you really have from just directly copying something that somebody else came up with? Right? Because you're never going to come up with your own original works of art. And I know that most people say that they can't come up with artwork from their own imagination, that they never have any good ideas of what they can draw. So I'm going to grab some markers real quick, and then I'm going to be right back to finish this guy up and get him all colored in. I'll be right. So I grabbed me some gray markers. I'm just going to stick mostly just with some grays with this guy, and then I'm going to go ahead and leave a lot of the fur, the brown from the tone paper. And I am using alcohol-based markers, and I use them because I like to blend my colors together. So you need the alcohol markers so that you can do that. So what I typically do is I'll put down the lighter color first. I like using 2 or 3 markers for each area that I'm filling in. So I'll put the lightest color down, and then I will add some areas with the darker color. And then I go back over where the two meet and blend them back together and smooth those colors out. I don't like having hard edges of color in most of my drawings, so I'll typically blend them together so there's a nice smooth transition between the colors. And normally what I would do is I would use 3 different markers, but because I typically work on artist trading cards, it's kind of hard to get all 3 of them in that area. So I'll have my multiple colors just by my values, by going over top and darkening up some areas. If you put down one marker and then go back over it again, it will darken up that marker even if it's just the same. Once you go back over it, it's going to darken that area up. So ideally what you want is your lighter value, your mid-tone, and your darker values. But you can kind of achieve that same thing when you do your layering. And this is just how I do my colors. There's plenty of other ways that you can do it. You need to find out what works best for you. This is just how I work. I do my drawings just simply for the relaxation of it because I enjoy it. I find it very relaxing. So I tend to not get super technical with my drawings when I'm doing them because that takes a lot of the enjoyment out of it if you're worried about every little detail being correct and where you're putting your light source and your shadows and where everything's going to be. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just come along the edge, add some darker markers along the edge of it, just to break up the big areas. I don't really like the big areas of solid color. So usually what I'll do is I'll just go in and break it up a little bit, add some variation. And I'm doing this kind of almost like a sketchy movement just for the fur, just to kind of see how it makes the fur look. And a lot of times I'll do something a little bit different from what I did previously just because I want to see what it looks like. And just experimenting and trying different things, and that's really what I love about the artist trading cards, is that they're so much quicker to finish. It does give you that little bit of extra freedom to play around a little bit and experiment and try some different things. And if you end up not liking it, it's not a huge deal. It didn't take a ton of time. It's different when you're spending hours and hours on a work of art, and then you get a little bit more nervous about experimenting and trying different things because you're afraid, what if you mess it up and then the whole thing's ruined. And I know for myself, whenever I've done something in the past and I spent a long time on it and I didn't like how it turned out, I'm not going to start all over again and spend another 3-4 hours or whatever on a drawing. So that's why I use the artist trading cards, is that they save me time. And for the longest time I said I didn't have enough time to work on my drawings, so I didn't do anything. And then I started doing everything on artist trading cards, which I've done artist trading cards for at least 20 years. And I always did them for the sole purpose of trading them. And once I started just doing them just as a way to save time, it was kind of a game changer for me. It really, it made it so that I could fit it into my schedule. And what I'm doing now, I'm just going over top of some of the areas with this white jelly roll. Again, just breaking up the big areas of solid color, adding some highlights. But, so as I was saying, because I worked so many hours at my day job at the time, I didn't really have much free time to work on my artwork. And that's when I started doing them on artist trading cards, not for the purpose of trading, but just for the purpose of saving time and fitting it into my schedule. I'm just putting some highlights in here. Like I said, I don't look at where my light source is coming from and making sure I'm not doing realistic shadows and light sources. I'm just breaking up the big areas of color a little bit. So that's pretty much it for that guy himself. And then I'm just gonna go in, grab different markers. I'm gonna use green for the background, see what that looks like. And it's a lot of fun using this toned paper. You get a much different look than just doing it on plain white. So I'm just going to fill in the background. Sometimes I just add an outline, a color outline around the edge. I call it a halo. I don't know what the actual, I know some people refer to it as an aura. I don't know what the technical term is. I guess it doesn't really much matter, but I do like to add some kind of a background. But with this one, I'm going to add a background color and then do my outline. So usually what I'll do, if I'm not sure how I want to do the background, is I'll just do this line like this, right around the edge. But for this one, I'm going to add a border around the outline of the card as well. Again, personal preference, it's up to you. You can do whatever you want for your backgrounds. Now, these colors will blend together if you go back over the edge. But for this, I want to leave that hard edge for the background. And that's it. This guy's done. We're going to call him finished. And again, the whole point of showing you this is so that you can see how you can take one set of instructions for a drawing and keep changing it over and over again. So this is the original drawing that when you follow the instructions, and this is just by changing the nose and the eyes and making the A wider and spread out instead of tall and thinner. So just showing you how you can take one drawing instruction and change it up over and over again and come up with completely different designs. So I hope you found this useful and feel inspired to try your own drawings. And I will see you in the next video. Well, how'd you do? Did you make some of your own artwork? I hope you did. I hope you felt encouraged and motivated to start some of your own work. And I hope you feel inspired to keep working on your art. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like and make sure you subscribe so you can see more videos from us when they get posted. I'll talk to you soon. Happy creating!